Hello. So previous videos have gone into what Kata versus MMA is all about. This particular video is going to introduce our foundation Kata. But before I do that, let me reiterate the idea of this project. So as I began to watch the rise of MMA, I also began through my research to see how MMA was influencing street violence. And I was looking specifically in my research of Bunkai for Kata applications that would counter that threat. The base Kata that we're going to use is Naihanchi Shodan, also known as Tekki Shodan. This Kata, while seemingly simple, has everything that we need to begin to work on countering those threats that are on the street. Specifically, the area of clinch fighting. Clinch fighting is that area within street fighting that is not very well developed from the MMA skill sets. So they're doing well with the kickboxing, that's on the rise. Ground grappling is on the rise. But in between, there's not the understanding or the structure to be able to take advantage of that range. What's amazing about Naihanchi or Tekki is that as I got into deeper research, I began to find out that it has all the things we need. The clinching, the off-balancing, and the throwing. The throwing, which allows us to get the person to the ground, which is our ultimate goal, so that we can either submit or we can strike a disabling blow and get out of there. Don't worry if the version of Naihanchi Shodan is not the same that I show here. Naihanchi or Tekki comes in many different versions. From my research over the years, I've seen that they're all close enough to serve our purposes. Now, the one that I base my movement on comes down to me from Chomo Hanashiro to Shigeru Nakamura to Seiyu Oyata. There is a basic version and an advanced version. We're going to go into the basic version right now. From what I'm able to see from that, the basic version is going to give us the complete foundation that we need, and then we will build from there with other katas as well as the advanced kata. This video is not intended to teach you the kata. I will provide other videos that go into depth about the particular kata that I do. The purpose of the video is to give us a common languages between the posture and the kata bunkai. So that way we can discuss it and it will make sense to you what I'm referring to in the kata as we go. I think at this point what we need to do is go ahead and move to the mat. I'll show you the basic version of the kata that I'm using, and then we'll go into what I'm calling each of the postures. Naihanchi Shodan Kata. Alright, I'll do that a little bit slower. Again, this video is not to teach you the kata, but hopefully you can see similarities between the version that you do and the version that I'm doing. If you find that you don't have this kata in your repertoire, then you can certainly learn it from this video in the basics of it, but we will have a video that goes into depth. Alright, so now what I'd like to do is I'd like to just discuss the posture so that we have a common terminology between the posture and the kata, and later on whenever we're working on the bunkai. Okay, so the first one that we're going to do is yoi. So yoi is this position right here. We also have a low yoi, which is here. Okay. Next is going to be the cross step. So when we do the cross step, all that means is I'll get my hands out of the way here, is that we've got a foot coming across. So there's a cross step. Just as a little hint for later on, if you're looking at it from the camera point of view, this seems like a bad idea, especially in terms of the idea of MMA with changing levels and shooting in. If I cross my feet, hey, I'm in trouble. But most of the time when this is being utilized, the cross is happening when I'm stepping towards you this way. And you'll see how this works as entries to throws. All right, so next is Kibadachi. So you'll hear me refer to this as the Naihanchi stance. When we get into the video that is about the kata in itself, it is a little bit higher Kibadachi, okay? Backhand strike is this position right here, all right? Some folks do it with a Jiu-Te, some do it with a back fist. As I said earlier, it does not matter about those technicalities. These will all work together, okay? Next is going to be the elbow strike. So here, this is what we mean by the elbow strike. Stacking hands, okay? Down strike, cross punch, all right? The single position is just one arm up like this. This is the double position, okay? So single, double, all right? The inverted punch is this. Boom. All right. We also have stacked hammer fist. So this would be stacked hammer fist with the palm out. This would be stacked hammer fist with the palm in. We've got the inner leg kick. All right. We have what I call bookend strike. The reason why I call it the bookend is because it's on either end of the kata, kind of like bookends that hold up a stack of books. All right, so we got our bookend strike, and then we also have our double down strike. Okay, so you'll see that at the end of the kata that we have a double down strike. To finish off this video, I just wanted to reiterate that it's not necessary for you to change the version of Naihanchi Shodan or Tekki Shodan that you're doing. I think that you'll find the common elements in there in terms of the postures. The details may be slightly different. That's really not an issue. As a matter of fact, if we really think about this whole thing, a kata was just a way to preserve technique and knowledge. They didn't have video cameras. They didn't have, cameras to take pictures of various techniques. And so they developed the kata as a way to keep from losing that information. So the reality is with our technology today, it is entirely possible for somebody to learn and use the bunkai we're going to present here and never learn the kata. So I hope that we won't have, I guess the best way to put this is sometimes we get in arguments about what's the correct way to do the kata. And in the case of this video and this series, I'm avoiding that because I feel there are many correct ways to do this kata. Each one brings in its own elements and its own information, and we can learn from each other. And I hope we'll be able to do that down the road in the future with some collaboration. Please help us continue to bring you some great videos by subscribing to our channel and sharing our videos.